list. Number 10. Billboard Music Awards. At the Billboard Music Awards in May, Cara Delevingne stole the show and captured everyone's attention with her erratic behavior and apparent obsession with Megan Thee Stallion. Several of the model's antics ended up going viral following the show, including her peering around a corner and licking her lips while staring at Megan as she posed for the photographers, which I guess was Cara's idea of a joke. Cara could be seen repeatedly lurking around the rapper, ducking in and out of the shot while sticking her tongue out and shouting. The photos took Twitter by storm, with one user writing, "Your chances of being watched by Cara Delevingne are slim but never zero." Eventually she ran onto the red carpet and grabbed a train of Megan's dress to give the photos some added movement. Some people believe that Megan looked irritated by it all. Not only that, but video footage from a party resurfaced online which showed Cara attempting to kiss Megan while they were on the dance floor, and Megan literally had to grab her shoulders and hold her back. If you're loving this video so far, please hit that like button, it would really help us out. Number 9. Licking Azealia Banks. Not too long ago, a video went viral of the model attempting to lick the rapper Azealia Banks while she was performing her hit track 212 at Leah McSweeney's Halloween party last year. The video was pretty telling because you could see that Azealia got to the end of her song and Cara was literally on her knees in front of her with her tongue out, working her way up the rapper's legs until she was standing alongside the musician. Yes, she seemed like she was licking the entire length of her body, but it's only weird if Azealia says so, and the rapper apparently didn't seem to mind and responded to the video on Twitter, saying that Cara is her girl through and through. Quote, "There were plenty of times I would just hide Cara in my apartment for days at a time to make sure she got some deep sleep and some actual food and wasn't just thrown out amongst the wolves like that." Well, it seems like the nature of their relationship is super ambiguous, but obviously there's a lot of love there. Number 8. Peg the Patriarchy. In 2021, Cara attended the Met Gala wearing a white bulletproof vest with the words "Peg the Patriarchy" on it. The look drew a lot of attention and praise, but only at first. Eventually the vest drummed up a lot of controversy as Cara was accused of stealing the message from Luna Matatas, a queer woman of color who trademarked the phrase in 2015. In an Instagram post, Luna wrote, "While I'm giddy that Peg the Patriarchy made it to the Met Gala, Cara Delevingne tried to pull it off as their own. No credit to me, the creator and the owner of the trademark." Ironically, Luna said that she trademarked the phrase because she was concerned that people like Cara would co-opt her movement, and that the supermodel would grossly misrepresent everything that the original term would stand for. According to Luna, the movement is about subversion. It's not sexual and it's not about men, which is exactly how Cara described it to Kiki Palmer when she was being interviewed. So when she posted the outfit on Instagram, her comment section filled up with people demanding that she credit the original designer, which she never ended up doing. Number 7. The Doja Cat photo. At the Billboard Music Awards, Cara Delevingne and Megan Thee Stallion were seated next to each other and Doja Cat was seated in the front row in front of them. Several clips of the moment went viral on Twitter as fans pointed out that it looked like Megan and Doja were trying to have a conversation with one another, but Cara was constantly interrupting. The whole night was crazy. Whether she was literally on the floor trying to take photos of Doja or sticking her tongue out at Megan, her inappropriate antics eventually led people to accuse the model of fetishizing black women. You might think that's a bit of a reach, but Megan definitely seemed uncomfortable with that kind of attention on her, and even posted a photo to Instagram of her and Doja next to each other with Cara photoshopped out of the picture. It wasn't exactly subtle because everyone saw the original version of the photo, which shows that Cara was actually sitting between them at the time. Number 6. Amber Heard affair. The 2022 defamation trial between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard was really quite explosive, and it exposed a number of shocking revelations about both parties. But something that really caught everyone's attention was a leaked deposition that went viral online during the trial, which suggested that Cara was involved in a three-way affair between Amber and her billionaire ex-boyfriend Elon Musk. The video featured a key witness in Josh Drew, who was married to one of Amber's friends at the time, who said that to his knowledge, Amber Heard, Elon Musk, and Cara Delevingne spent the night together. The three of them reportedly hooked up at Johnny's downtown LA penthouse in late 2016 after somewhere around the time that he and Amber split up. But there was speculation, just like with James Franco, that Amber was seeing Cara and Elon while she was still with Johnny. In the end, the supermodel did not have to testify in the trial, but for a period of time it certainly seemed like she was going to get pulled into the legal battle. Number 5. Coachella. Beyoncé's culture-shaking performance at the 2018 Coachella Music Festival became so iconic that it was literally called Baychella. Like everyone else, Cara was a huge fan of the show and had nothing but good things to say. She wrote on Instagram, "I am speechless. That performance made me burst into tears and sent shivers down my spine." But her followers were not too happy with that and accused her of hypocrisy, because before the event, Cara was one of the loudest voices supporting the No-Chella movement, which was a boycott of the festival after the owner was caught making donations to anti anti-LGBTQ+ causes. As the backlash against her started escalating, she hit back at critics on Instagram saying, "I am allowed to shame that man and show my appreciation of an artist at the same time. I still refuse to go to a festival that is owned by someone who is anti-LGBTQ+ and pro-gun." But her followers certainly didn't see it that way, and a messy debate took place in her comment section. Number 4. The Jimmy Choo ad. In 2017, the Me Too movement was gaining some real momentum, largely due to Harvey Weinstein being exposed as a serial predator. Cara Delevingne was one of the women who came forward with her own disturbing allegations about him that same year, and revealed on Instagram that Harvey had convinced her to follow him to his hotel room and tried to kiss her before she managed to escape. But even though Cara was brave enough to speak up against sexual harassment, it somehow backfired on her when she decided to star in an ad for Jimmy Choo called Shimmer in the Dark. The short film shows her walking around New York City at night, drawing attention from several men on the street, who then start catcalling her and complimenting her. But the attention that she gets is framed as a good thing, and that's what really seemed to anger people, as they pointed to the hypocrisy of it all. Even though most of the backlash was directed at Cara, Jimmy Choo eventually decided to pull the ad as it was deemed too controversial. Number 3. Stealing shirt designs. In 2015, the owner of Other Wild design studio, Rachel Burks, started selling feminist t-shirts with the slogan that was created in the 70s. She was doing it ethically and as a collaboration with the original designer. The t-shirts said, "The future is female," and they were an instant hit. But when Cara got her hands on them and posted the shirts on Instagram, they really blew up because of her huge following. The British model saw a pretty good business opportunity and announced that she was going to be making and selling her own version of the shirt and giving some of the proceeds to charity. But fans were quick to point out that she hadn't designed the shirt, and therefore it wasn't right to just sell it without crediting the original makers. And once Other Wild design studio caught on, they accused Cara of stealing the idea from a small business. They argued about who had the right to print the slogan, but because Cara was on the receiving end of most of the backlash, she eventually caved and agreed to link the company's website in her posts about the t-shirt. Number 2. Julia Fox comments. During an episode of their Forbidden Fruits podcast last year, Julia Fox and her co-host Nikki Takesh recounted a bizarre story of Cara being inappropriate towards Azealia Banks. The story goes that the two of them were at a party where the rapper was performing, and when they noticed something weird, Nikki said, "We looked to the side of the stage and we see this person trying to keep pushing past security, and we realized it was Cara Delevingne." Julia then said that they realized very quickly that Cara was wasted, and that after several attempts, she finally made her way up on stage while Azealia was performing and even stole the mic from her. Julia said that Cara's behavior was thirsty, and she could tell by Azalea's face that she was over it and just wanted to have her moment. It was a funny story that lines up very well with the video of Cara trying to lick Azalea's leg on stage, but it's probably just the way they partied together, considering that the two of them are close friends. And coming in at number 1, the awkward interview. In the middle of a promotional tour for her film Paper Towns, Cara appeared on Good Day Sacramento, and it was a complete disaster from start to finish. First of all, the anchors called her Carla instead of Cara, then they asked her whether or not she had read the book on which the film is based, and why she didn't seem more excited to be on the show despite making millions from the movie. In all fairness, Cara really didn't seem too enthusiastic when it came to promoting the film, and she eventually refused to respond to their questions. She really wasn't giving them anything to work with at all, except for quite a bad attitude. But it didn't really help that one of the anchors straight up told her, "We'll let you take a little nap and maybe get a Red Bull," essentially kicking her off the program. Although there is still a debate to this day about what made the interview so uncomfortable to watch, it is certainly one for the books. Number 10. Sharing the stage. J-Lo didn't hold back when it came to her opinion on sharing the stage with Shakira at the 2020 Super Bowl halftime show. In her newly released documentary called Halftime, she labeled it as the worst idea in the world. Quote, "If it was going to be a double headliner, they should have given us 20 minutes. That's what they should have effing done." Basically, it turns out that Jennifer was frustrated with the NFL for booking 2 headliners and making them share the same amount of time that any solo performer would receive, as opposed to doubling it and giving the women extra time to shine. As a result, fans slammed the artist for coming off as entitled. While it's true that they only gave the performers 6 minutes each, the action-packed show garnered immense praise from fans across the globe, with many fans commending the women for showcasing their Latin heritage so brilliantly. What J-Lo was really mad about though is that previous solo headliners like Beyonce and The Weeknd received 14 minutes to perform, but judging by her her complaints, it's clear that she feels offended that they asked her to share the stage at all. Number 9. Cheating allegations. Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck have had an on-again, off-again romance that has been going on since the 2000s, with fans even nicknaming the couple Benifer. I mean, these two just got married this year, after they first got engaged nearly 2 decades ago, but the timeline of their relationship is a huge red flag, and it included alleged cheating. So in July of 2002, Lopez filed for divorce from her second husband, Chris Judd, citing irreconcilable differences. But this news broke just months after Lopez had wrapped the movie Glee alongside her then boyfriend Ben. Even though she vehemently denied cheating rumors, Ben took out an ad in The Hollywood Reporter gushing about Lopez before her divorce wasn't yet finalized. In fact, even Chris Judd's father, Larry, spoke out against the couple and accused J-Lo of being unfaithful to his son. He insinuated that the affair started during the filming of Glee. Quote, "I thought Mr. Affleck would honor a married woman and not just go right into the trailer," and added that she'd be happier if she'd just tell the truth and no one in her little circle is going to say one negative thing to her. But we'll never really know the truth of what happened. Number 8. Music theft. The star has been accused of stealing and borrowing background tracks and vocals from other artists for years. One of the stars who accused her of doing this was Usher in 2005. He claimed that she stole a song that he cast aside while recording his hugely successful album called Confessions. Usher claimed that J-Lo's single Get Right is actually a re-recorded version of Ride, a song that he co-wrote the year before, which was only available online. He said, quote, "I hate it, but I'd better get some of the publishing rights or else. I didn't put it on my album because I couldn't get it right, but I didn't expect J-Lo to just take it." And apart from being accused of stealing the same sample song that Mariah Carey used for Loverboy, J-Lo was also given songs that were initially intended for Ashanti, which is why a lot of people claim what happened between the two artists was straight up music theft. In September of 2001, Lopez released I'm Real from her second studio album, J-Lo, that she worked on with Irv Gotti. But the song was already recorded and mixed with Ashanti's vocals, which is why you can still hear her background vocals in Lopez's version. Number 7. Makeup artist feud. Scott Barnes, who worked for J-Lo for the past 20 years, has had to deal with so much of the star's crazy hot and cold behavior. In the mid-2000s, the star essentially banished her longtime makeup artist, Scott Barnes, after rumors surfaced that someone had leaked info to the press about her and Mark Anthony's secret marriage ceremony. Speaking on the Jeff Probst show in 2012, when asked about how J-Lo treated him, he said, quote, "It was like I had the plague." But interestingly enough, eventually she ended up giving Barnes his old job back again after learning the truth, but apparently failed to apologize for being so cold and ruthless towards him. I mean, she literally cut him off without a word and blamed him for the leak without even confronting him. Barnes went on to say, quote, "I went right back to work with her and we just never spoke about it again," which is even weirder. The funny thing is, her celebrity makeup artist would go on to work with her for another 6 years and insisted that they remain on good terms despite the fact that she ghosted him and didn't even apologize for it. Number 6. The Mark Anthony romance. Celebrity gossip magazines could not get enough of the power couple in the early 2000s. They were absolutely everywhere and it seemed like fans loved the pairing. But their beginnings as a couple were super questionable to say the least. Anthony married former Miss Universe Dayanara Torres in 2000, while Lopez was dating Ben Affleck roughly around the same time. But the on-again, off-again couple picked their romance back up while Anthony was still married to Dayanara. So less than a week after Anthony's divorce was finalized, the couple surprised fans by getting married in a small, casual ceremony in her Beverly Hills home in early June. It really begs the question of whether or not J-Lo was some kind of homewrecker, because the timeline of the rekindled relationship seems really off. I mean, he actually broke Dayanara's heart, and she said, quote, "You go through hell. I cried until there were no tears left, until I was numb. I didn't want to eat, I didn't care to get dressed or take a shower, I just wanted to lie there." Anthony's feelings for Jennifer might have been there all along because the two had history, but he should have put way more thought into who he chose to marry in the first place. So in a way, they're both at fault here. Number 5. Insensitive comments. To give you some background on why everyone felt that J-Lo was trashing belly dancing. So a part of the 2020 Super Bowl performance featured young dancers sitting in glowing cages, which many people assume represented the immigrant children in cages at the US border. But she apparently had a hard time convincing the NFL to do this. and said, quote, "I'm trying to give you something with substance, not just us out there shaking our effing asses and effing belly dancing." She went on to say that she wants something real, something that's gonna make a statement, something that's gonna say we belong here and we have something to offer. Now, if you're confused about why that was so controversial, essentially she compared the art of belly dancing to just shaking your butt for the hell of it. In fact, that particular line was shared across Twitter and people were big mad. It was just a little culturally insensitive to say, considering the fact that the dance has long been associated with Middle Eastern cultures, and it's something that Shakira has become known for, using it to channel her father's Lebanese, Syrian, Arab roots. Number 4. Avoiding the Bronx. This one, train wreck of an ad campaign, led people to openly mock both Chrysler and Jennifer Lopez. The central premise of the ad was that sometimes JLo will drive through her old hood in the South Bronx in a Fiat 500 just to stay inspired. Although it sounds ridiculous, the marketing campaign obviously tried to draw on the singer's famous Jenny from the Block era. Most people recognize the song in which she pays tribute to growing up in the Bronx, which had been a solid part of her image since the 90s. In fact, the singer even titled her debut album On the 6, which is a clear reference to the New York subway train. A press release at the time even stated that she would be traveling through the streets of Manhattan to the Bronx where she grew up. But the ad backfired when the Smoking Gun reported that Lopez never actually went to the Bronx to film the ad and that a body double stand-in was used instead, calling it, quote, "such a breathtaking assemblage of urban cliches," and that was putting it lightly. Number 3. The movie line interview. The infamous movie line interview in 1998 that could have almost ruined JLo's career was truly worse than you can imagine. She was 27 at the time and fresh off the success of her film Selena. She basically decided to trash all the other celebrities that were big at the time and tried to trivialize their career and contribution to the industry. In fact, when asked about Madonna, she actually said, quote, "Do I think she's a great performer? Yeah. Do I think she's a great actress? No. Acting is what I do, so I'm harder on people when they say, oh, I can do that, I can act. And I'm like, hey, don't spit on my craft." It was so ironic because JLo would go on to do both music and acting for the rest of her career, and critics also trashed her acting on the big screen. Also, at the time, Madonna had been a star for a lot longer than JLo, so there was no real comparison there. And when Gwyneth Paltrow was brought up, Jennifer almost seemed to laugh and made it clear that she didn't take her fellow actress's career seriously. Quote, "Tell me what she's been in. I swear to God, I don't remember anything she was in. Some people get hot by association. I heard more about her and Brad Pitt than I ever heard about her work." Yikes. Number 2. Accusations of racism. 20 years ago, Lopez was approaching full actualization as an entertainer, but a single from her second album, JLo, almost derailed her career entirely. The Murder Inc. remix of I'm Real, which features Ja Rule and Own Radio in 2001, was ruined by the N-bomb that she drops in her final verse. The issue was that the song was an instant hit, so much so that 10 years later, in 2011, Billboard gave it the 6th spot on its 40 biggest duets of all time list. But rightfully so, people were outraged by her use of the loaded term, not only because she's a Latina artist, but at her level of success, where she has a platform and sets an example to young fans. Using such a derogatory word is at best offensive. But as the accusations of racism started to mount against the star, she eventually spoke out to defend her actions on the Today Show. Quote, "For anyone who thinks or suggests that I'm racist is really absurd and hateful to me." Although many people think this is not an excuse, it was later revealed that the track was actually written by Ja Rule himself, and apparently he encouraged her to say it. And number 1, fired a maid. This one is really indefensible. Jennifer Lopez allegedly got a German hotel maid fired for asking for an autograph. Frey Dodaj was a staff member at the luxury Melia Hotel in Dusseldorf, Germany, during Lopez's stay in 2012. She was a big fan of JLo and worked up the courage to knock on the star's hotel door in Dusseldorf to ask for an autograph, and was promptly turned away. Frey claims that she was relieved from her post the day after the incident. She told The Sun, quote, "I am an incredibly big fan, so I took all my courage and rang the doorbell to get an autograph. but I was rejected by 2 assistants at the door. A day later, the cleaning company that employed me at the hotel called and said that Ms. Lopez had complained. I was fired right there on the phone. If the incident really happened, it's hard to ignore the irony when you remember that Jennifer played a hotel maid in the movie Made in Manhattan. After receiving a rightful amount of backlash, the pop star wrote on Twitter, quote, "Come on, thought you knew me better than this, would never get anyone fired over an autograph. First I heard of this was on Twitter, #hurtful.
At number 10 we have her forced marriage with Will Smith. Now agree or disagree, but Jada herself has declared she got married unwillingly, and here's why. Much like everything else, Jada has openly discussed never wanting to initially marry Will, and because of this, a lot of people have made claims that Jada was wed under duress. However, Jada chalked it up to a far more reasonable explanation, and this was her being young and pregnant at the time. It's been stated how Jada's mother pushed her to tie the knot because she was fearful that Jada would never have the opportunity to get married if she didn't make that decision. Despite Jada's disapproval, the wedding still happened, and she never wanted a traditional marriage but had to compromise for Will's sake. She was going through various emotions at her 3-month term mark and even cried while going down the aisle because she was so angry with the idea of getting married. Not only was Jada against her marriage in general, she also disapproved of Will's luxurious lifestyle, and it's been detailed by sources that she was genuinely upset with Will when he bought their grand family home. If one didn't know any better, you could say their entire relationship seems forced at this point, but that's just a conspiracy theory, and quite frankly, none of my business. At number 9 we have Jada being a huge attention seeker. Now this one is more of an observational theory rather than hard facts, but have you ever noticed how overly expressive she becomes when speaking about really personal things? Or how often she tries to shift the attention onto herself when it's really not about her? Well, maybe not, but according to multiple sources, this is exactly how Jada is, and they've used how she describes love to be one of their reasonings. Jada once said, "The older she becomes, the more she's discovering what love truly is." Now there really isn't any harm in that statement, right? Maybe not. But it does say a lot about one's character when they've single-handedly used their deceased ex-lover and friend as a scapegoat for attention when they fall short. At least this is what those sources are saying about Jada. And that's putting it nicely. She's been described as somebody who drags Tupac's name through interviews at any given chance, where a lot of the times her late ex isn't even the topic of discussion, and Jada would just randomly mention him whenever she felt there was no spotlight on her. Again, this is more speculation, but why else would she continuously bring up someone she was close to who passed away? Wouldn't it hurt more to talk about them 24/7 rather than rarely or not at all? It's also been revealed that Jada got super pissed at Will at her 40th birthday party, which Will had been planning for 3 years prior. He had surprised her with a documentary he commissioned that chronicled her life. One would think this gesture of appreciation would work out in Will's favor, but it didn't. Jada and Will had it out after the party, and the incident was said to have popped off in their hotel when Will was reportedly shouted at and told that the event was one of the most disgusting displays of ego Jada had ever seen in her life. As a result, she and Will separated, as Will told her he was retiring from making her happy. I mean, that's one sure way to suck all the good vibes out of the room. At number 8 we have Jada's manipulation tactics. Now this is a big one, because of everything I looked into regarding Jada, the word manipulation came up a scary amount of times. Reasons why she's been referred to as such range from a multitude of things, many of which have to do with her husband. There's Jada's lack of reassurance to Will of her and Tupac's actual relationship at the time, to her claims that she and Tupac only kissed once and that there was nothing more there. But it was apparent Tupac had feelings for Jada. Yet Jada's own description of their relationship was quote weird. Jada no doubt strung Will along by being manipulative once she and Will started dating by casually trying to play off her situation with Tupac. In doing this, she had both their support and attention, hence the manipulation tactic. Jada used this excuse of not defining her relationship openly as an advantage for herself. With both of them by her side, the situation was manipulated to the point where no one could speculate any wrongdoing from her, while she still got what she wanted in the end. Some even say that Jada forced Will to transition to an open marriage down the road as another manipulation tactic for her being forced to marry him originally. At number 7 we have all the toxic energy which seems to surround Jada. I mean, seriously, get this girl some sage or something, because I'm positive many people will mutually agree with me. And the craziest part, there's lots of proof to back up the theory that Jada is just straight up toxic. One example is her IG post with her and Will's marriage counselor. Now there are a few things to get into from this one video, but to keep things short and sweet, Jada started rolling without even asking Will if he was ready. This raised a lot of concerns about how their marriage operates behind closed doors. Jada also called Will foolish and constantly made it seem as if his opinions were invalid during this. So despite many people thinking Jada is great, there are a whole lot more who feel she is one of the most toxic, foul Hollywood celebs out there, with good reason. There's also the accusation that Jada was behind Willow's letter to Tupac post, which randomly arose on Instagram and was deleted shortly after. The moral of the point here is that Jada knows she can do whatever she wants without repercussions, and Will always be by her side to fight. So she'll never leave or actually change her ways, and to me, that's toxic AF. If you ask anybody, people say Jada's overall attitude towards Will is actually because he was never anything more to her than a rebound, but we'll get into that in just a minute. At number 6, we have Jada's responsibility for her polygamous marriage. Will and Jada are currently in what we call an open relationship, which basically just means they're free to see and be with whoever they please but can't leave each other. Will stepped forward to disclose multiple times that he and Jada's marriage for them cannot feel like a prison, and this stemmed from rumors of Jada engaging in an affair with her Hawthorne castmate Mark Anthony, who was married to Jennifer Lopez at the time of their then unconfirmed incident. Jada's inappropriate affairs, despite not being full-blown, were said to be the cause of her and Will's marriage being forced open, basically so Jada could mess around with other people without catching any of the blame or downfall. So long as Will agreed, of course. Which he did, by the way. And this may just be related to his previous statement of him saying he and Jada simply cannot get divorced. At number 5, we have the whole Future IG story mess, where Future made comments on Will and Jada's marriage after Jada opened up about intimacy on one of her Red Table talks to explain how a partner should know what she wants in the bedroom. Future first got involved after online memes started circulating about Will needing to hang out with him, who has a reputation for being involved with multiple women all the time, which implied that Will should learn to be more like Future in that sense. During her RTT, Jada described her partner's need to love her enough to know every part of her, which netizens thought implied Will didn't love her the way she was demanding. Twitter users also took her statements literally, which in turn sparked the whole debate of whether or not she embarrassed Will by saying she'd really bring Future to the Red Table. Charlemagne the God even questioned on his show once if Will was ever jealous of Jada and Tupac's relationship, where Will speaks about being insecure because of their tight bond. At number 4, we have Jada and her top-level narcissism. A user on Quora once described Jada as a histrionic, borderline narcissist, and their opinion on it in short is that Jada provokes Will's touch of feminism nature to bruise his ego. This user even explained why they feel Will has narcissistic tendencies and may even be one himself. They said, when you are involved with a highly narcissistic person, your mind is not your own. Jada said to Will, we're ride or die, bad marriage till the end. I knew then, they're both narcs. Will's masculinity suffered a narcissistic injury when Jada had a fling with a troubled young musician, a friend of her kid. Then Will went on Red Table to discuss it and she emasculated him. Will was triggered in the beginning by her obsession with Tupac. He took all of it out on Chris Rock when Jada gave him that look that triggered him to slap Chris. Chris was an easier target, that's my theory. Now, if we reel back to the public sharing of Willow's letter to Tupac, it made people feel like Jada was super self-absorbed for exploiting her daughter for her own selfish reasons. One YouTuber even commented on a video regarding Jada's behavior with the following: this woman somehow thinks she's a higher power, just out there healing the world, while realistically destroying all those close to her like narcissists do. Big yikes. At number 3, we have Jada's infidelity. Of course, she was out of line by her entanglement with August Alsina, especially because he was her son's friend and most likely vulnerable at the time. Plus, her messy affair with the R&B singer was later revealed by Will to have occurred after he and Jada were already separate. Despite this, Jada admitted to this affair of cheating when she and Will were not together but still married. But how she went about it was weird given what Will confirmed. She first made claims that Will gave his blessing for their affair, but the internet did not agree. It wasn't until Will publicly stepped forward to admit that Jada wasn't the only one being unfaithful that social media decided to ease up, though not by much. Still, people think Will's admission was a way to save face, but also to touch back on the rumors surrounding him and his Focus co-star Margot Robbie engaging in an affair of their own. Will's admission that he didn't give Jada permission to date because they weren't even together means their words, stories, and sides just aren't adding up. Regardless, Will says nothing Jada will do can ever change things for them now that they're open, because these were the terms they came to from the jump. Will and Jada are no longer described as married but as life partners instead. It's been detailed that Will may just be playing Jada's game because he doesn't want to lose her for good. At number 2, we have one of Hollywood's biggest drama queens. Well, maybe that's a bit of a stretch here, but Jada is known for being one for the dramatics, and that's been noted because of her household full of drama. However, it's also been detailed that both Will and Jada are equally responsible for the drama that occurs in their home. Still, with all of Jada's major backlash every time she speaks, and being labeled as messy and difficult due to her outing intimate details of her relationship to the public with no real remorse for Will's feelings, it's safe to say that the majority of the public is leaning on the side of Jada being the chaos enabler. At number 1, we have Jada's lack of boundaries. This one is a no-brainer, I'm sure, because we all know Jada has a tendency to air it all out, whether it's intentional or not. Jada has been described as someone who overshares too much to the public, and this severely impacts her family. She's not very private about anything, which shows there are no boundaries in her relationships overall. In particular, she has no respect for Will by exposing everything about their relationship, which is just tasteless. And before you say this is unfair, we literally know everything we do know about them now because of Jada. She was the one who admitted to infidelity, which really should have been something Will was warned about before it went public, since Will was clearly caught off guard by the news of August telling the world he gave them permission. She was also the one talking openly about her intimacy once while her mother was present. Jada also constantly speaks so horribly about her marriage in general, so I'm sure you get the point now. At number 10, we have Tom's accusations of forcing Scientologists to do grueling labor work for him. Over the past decade, numerous ex-members belonging to the Church of Scientology have stepped forward to point blame at the church for gross misconduct alongside several other allegations, and it seems Tom centers around the negativity. Former Inspector General Mark Rathburn once told R Online in 2011 that he obtained secret emails which proved that Scientologists were laborly forced to build a luxury bus to gift to Tom. In 2013, 15 ex-Scientologists also claimed Tom took reoccurring advantage of members while only paying them $1 per hour to complete endless jobs. Reports of their leader ordering them included completing the renovation of his home in Beverly Hills in 2004, overseeing the construction of a large custom motorhome for crews over a 5-month period, and assisting in the customization and construction of a special limousine for Tom Cruise. Former COS high-ranker Amy Scooby once described having to locate Scientologists for Tom Cruise's household to cover the positions of nanny, cook, and maid. Reported documents allege that anyone who did not meet the requirements of their orders faced inhumane punishments. What are your thoughts on Tom Cruise's 10th red flag? Tell us in the comments below. At number 9, we have his apparent comparison of acting to fighting in Afghanistan. According to the reported deposition from 2013, during his $50 million lawsuit against Bauer Media, the actor supposedly informed the court that on-location filming was just as taxing as serving a tour of duty. The lawyer of the opposite legal team had brought up his absence from Surrey, which publicly equated it for these extended periods of time as being analogous to someone fighting in Afghanistan. Are you aware of that? Tom reportedly responded with, "Didn't hear the Afghanistan, but that's what it feels like, and certainly on this last movie, it was brutal." The press was instant on this headliner, and Tom's lawyer Bert Fields attempted to set the record straight by claiming Tom's remarks were taken entirely out of context. Bert further slammed the assertions that Tom Cruise likened making a movie to being at war in Afghanistan is a gross distortion of the record. What Tom said laughingly was that sometimes that's what it feels like. At number 8, we have Tom's divorce strategy. Tom has gone through 3 marriages so far, all ending in messy headlines and he said she said. However, it's been reported that there is much more in common with his 4 marriages than the fact that they just ended. Apparently there's a pattern shadowing the actor in every one of his splits with his ex-wives Mimi Rogers, Nicole Kidman, and Katie Holmes. According to reports, all 3 ladies were the exact same age when they filed for divorce, as well as each of them is 11 years younger than the last. Many have chalked this scenario up as a coincidence that he ended his marriage with them at the specific age of 33. However, others have noted that 33 is indeed a significant number for Tom's Church of Scientology. NY Daily News once reported, quote, "The original membership organization for the controversial religious group, the Hubbard Association of Scientologists, was founded in Phoenix, Arizona, which lies on the 33rd parallel." Outside of this theory though, there have been other simpler suggestions for this pattern, which is that Tom just has a preference for dating women under 33 and sticks to that no matter what. Regardless, it could be anything really. At number 7, we have Tom being accused of brainwashing his eldest younglings. While Nicole and Tom were still together, they adopted 2 kids named Isabella and Connor. However, once they split, it was stated that Tom did his very best to to convince them that they needed to cut their mom out of their lives. This shocking allegation came from former Scientologist Sam Domingo in 2019 when Sam told R Online Tom made the decision to disconnect from Nicole and have his children disconnect. Sam claimed Isabella and Connor were forced into Scientology school and the removal of their mother. Furthermore, Sam went on to add that they were brainwashed by growing up without choices and that they are most notably being used as leverage for the church, and it's not right. Since this, Connor has reportedly been formulated into becoming the quote perfect Scientologist and remains under constant supervision as per the church-owned hotel surveillance. Isabella, on the other hand, started a promotional video for the church's London branch, which encouraged members to intern as auditors, where Isabella described how she felt the training was incredible and thanked her dad for everything. At number 6, we have Tom's toxic Mission Impossible 7 rant. His viral spiel during unprecedented times for the film industry reportedly resulted in a handful of crew members quitting. While the question of when filming for this movie will finally end has been up in the air for movie enjoyers since production halted during the prime time of the worldwide health policies, apparently Tom cost the team a lot more than monetary value can replace. While resuming shooting for the high-budget project, Tom famously scolded 2 crew members who allegedly failed to stick to official guidelines. Following this, reports detailed that 5 team members stepped down. The Sun described the December 14th occurrence, which faced obvious backlash. A source dished to the publication, "The first outburst was big, but things haven't calmed since. Tension has been building for months, and this was the final straw. There's been more anger and several staff have walked, but Tom just can't take anymore after all the lengths they've gone through just to keep filming. He's upset others aren't taking it as seriously as him. In the end, he's the one who carries the can." At number 5, we have Tom Cruise reportedly leaving his daughter Suri Cruise behind. Tom wants absolutely no one to think he just left his youngest daughter hanging to dry. However, this is exactly what several stories are claiming over the past couple of years. In 2012, Tom filed his lawsuit against Bauer Media for their articles, which appeared in Life and Style and In Touch, with claims that he turned his back on his daughter. However, he was later forced to admit in his deposition the following year that he hadn't seen Suri for an extended period of time because of his work. In 2012, it was marked at 100 days since he last saw her, and by 2016, In Touch had reports detailing over 1,000 days. A source informed the magazine that Tom, quote, uses his film commitments as an excuse, but the truth is that doesn't hold much weight with Suri anymore. The source added Tom's connection to Scientology with this, and their disconnection policy as well. Quote, he's disconnected from Suri because of her connection to Katie. He hasn't seen her since she was 7. At number 4, we have Tom punishing Scientologists. According to rumors stemming from former devoted member Leah Remini, who dished it all in her 2013 published piece, Troublemakers Surviving Hollywood and Scientology, there are a number of horror stories about their most famous member during Leah's time there. In November 2018, Leah described to the Daily Beast that Scientologists are told that Tom Cruise is saving the world single-handedly, so he is considered a deity within Scientology. Leah further alleged that Tom is scarily aware of what takes place in Scientology, as he has reportedly been a part of it all. Leah added that she's previously been told by a senior executive of Scientology who was there that David constantly threatened their staff with bringing Tom Cruise to Gold Base. Aside from this, Leah also described to the outlet that there was a time when Tom personally punished a high-ranking member under David's orders. Of course, the COS rapidly shut down these allegations, telling ET Canada the interview is a PR stunt to promote her fake reality TV show. Remini has gone out of her way to manufacture hate and instigate harm toward innocent people. At number 3, we have Tom criticizing Brooke Shields' fight with postpartum depression. Back in 2005, Brooke showcased her mental health struggles through her Down Came the Rain, My Journey Through Postpartum Depression memoir. Her Get Real tell-all follows the arrival of her daughter Rowan back in 2003. Brooke was uber honest about her use of therapy and antidepressants to cope, and this seemed to press Tom greatly. At the time, the actor spoke with Access Hollywood about how he felt Brooke's positive spin on her use of antidepressants was irresponsible. He further went on to say, when someone says medication has helped them, it is to cope. It didn't cure anything. There is no science. There's nothing that can cure them whatsoever. I care about Brooke because I think she is an incredibly talented woman, but look where her career has gone. However, Brooke was not here for any of that and slammed Tom back in a New York Times op-ed, writing, comments like those made by Tom Cruise are a disservice to mothers everywhere. If any good can come from Mr. Cruise's ridiculous rant, let's hope that it gives much needed attention to a serious disease. Brooke later also told People, Tom should stick to saving the world from aliens and let women who are experiencing postpartum depression decide what treatment options are best for them. At number 2, we have Tom's alleged ties to the COS auditioning wives for him. In between Nicole and Katie, apparently, the Church of Scientology attempted to scope out the ideal wife for the actor. At least that is according to a mind-boggling Vanity Fair report in 2012. The VF article suspected suspected that Shelley, wife of leader David, was hand-selecting the perfect girlfriend for their star member. During 2004, there was a rumored audition that took place with actresses who were also a part of the COS, who were called into what they originally assumed was a training film audition. However, according to reports, the actors were supposedly asked questions about Tom, and then in October 2004, Homeland actress Nazanin Bonaiati was apparently chosen as the frontrunner. In line with the magazine, Nazanin partook in daily audits over the course of a month and was forced to disclose every single detail about herself with nothing off limits. In November of that year, Nazanin was eventually selected to go on a date with Tom, but she was reportedly told to break up with her boyfriend, remove her braces, and darken her hair first. According to sources, the actress also signed numerous confidentiality agreements, but the romance derailed in January 2005. Insiders claim Tom would report his live-in girlfriend to the staff of COS if he wasn't pleased with her actions. Resultantly, Tom apparently got someone to break up with her, with the explanation that the actor wanted someone with her own power, like Nicole. At number 1, we have Tom being the reason why his former divorces ended. Is Scientology to blame for the split from his ex-wives? A number of ex-Scientologists seem to think so. Previous high-ranking Scientologist Marty Rathburn alleged that his job was to facilitate the breakup with Nicole Kidman because she was a non-believer. In the 2015 documentary Going Clear: Scientology and the Prison to Believe. To corroborate these claims, Leah informed Us Weekly that the Celebrity Center's senior vice president, quote, used confidential Scientology counseling sessions to bring a wedge between Tom and his wife Nicole because Nicole didn't want to do Scientology anymore, adding that through Marty Rathburn, he and David were able to get rid of Nicole to get Tom closer to Scientology. Tom and Nicole split back in 2001, and Nicole went viral during the finalization process when she exited her lawyer's office in unfiltered bliss. As for Katie, if we time jump to 2006, their marriage was officiated with David as Tom's best man. But in 2012, Tom made claims of being blindsided by Katie's decision to divorce and gain full custody of their daughter Suri. While the COS wasn't directly meddling at the time, it seems the practice was the official fallout between the former couple.
He hasn't dated any woman over the age of 25. Seriously. Even in his longer lasting relationships, as soon as his girlfriends reach his idea of an expiry date, they get the boot. While he has been linked to Naomi Campbell and Rihanna, who were older than the age limit at the time, they never officially dated. The women part of the ex-girlfriend club are not just your everyday beauties. All of Leo's ex-girlfriends are supermodel gorgeous. The ranks include Bar Raffaelli, Blake Lively, Kelly Rohrbach, Nina Agdal, and more recently, Camilla Morrone. At the tender age of 20 years old, Camilla began dating Leo, who was 43 years old. If you're keeping count with me, that's a whopping 23-year age difference. I'm sure a lot of people would find dating someone who could be your daughter kind of gross. All signs point to immaturity, which is an immediate red flag. Number 9. All of Leo's ex-girlfriends look the same. Young blonde beauties are clearly Leo's type, but when you put all the photos together, you can barely tell them apart. His most recent ex, Camila, probably looks the least like the prototype as a brunette, but when Leo first set his sights on her, she was, you guessed it, blonde. As the all-knowing minds of the internet suspect that the standard was set by Giselle, who he dated until she was the ripe old age of 23 years old. If you dig a little deeper into his dating history, it's clear that he was always into the blondes, even in the early 90s, but dating the same type of women and replacing them as soon as they reach an age limit seems really sketchy. Number 8. He takes all of these girlfriends to the same island for vacations. The evidence that Leo is a creature of habit in his relationships is overwhelming on this one. It might even be considered an orange flag if it was anyone else, but considering the strict dating standards he sets on his partners, why wouldn't he take them all to the exact same island for getaways? This island is incredibly private and Leo clearly loves it there. So much so he's actually recommended it to President Obama. The former president supposedly said, if Leo recommends a place, I listen. And if Leo has been able to come here on several different occasions with different girls and not a single photo has come out, that's where I need to go. Number 7. The shocking age that Leo met his most recent ex-girlfriend. Camila and Leo are no more, and I don't think that it's a coincidence that she just so happened to turn 25 earlier this summer. The pair were originally introduced to each other through another Hollywood A-lister, Al Pacino. Here's where it gets sketchy though. Leo met her when she was 10 years old and he was in his early 30s. Gross. Camila's Al Pacino's stepdaughter. While we don't know how well they knew each other at the time, hopefully it was just a meeting in passing, but it's shocking to think about. In July 2019, Camila posted photos of Humphrey Bogart and Lauren Bacall, another Hollywood couple with a very distinct age gap, and captioned it, "A love like this." By drawing comparisons to her 23-year age gap relationship and Humphrey and Lauren's 25-year age gap, it's clear to see that she didn't think anything was wrong with the relationship, although she may have forgotten to factor in Leo's expiry date in her plans for a long-lasting romance. Number 6. Less than 2 weeks after breaking up with Camila, he was spotted with another woman. Leo was spotted at New York Fashion Week getting cozy with Gigi Hadid after breaking up with Camila, his girlfriend of the last 4 years. Clearly doesn't take him very long to recover from a breakup. Leo's back on the prowl with his sights set on the newest blonde for the lineup. Based on the factors we've seen so far, Gigi fits the bill. Blonde, supermodel certified gorgeous. However, there are a few things that may throw a wrench in his rebound plans. Nobody freak out. Gigi is 27. If Leo can get past that age qualifier, there's also the matter of the child she shares with her ex, Zayn Malik. Now, if I were Gigi, I would take all of these red flags at face value and head for the hills, unless she really wants to go to that private island. Number 5. Leo reportedly pays big money for the best PR firm available. Sunshine Sachs is one of the most exclusive PR agencies available, so much so that they frequently turn down A-list clients and they don't even have a website. You have to have the right connections to get in with them, and they offer some of the best services the industry has to offer. Considering all of his interesting dating habits, it's no wonder Leo's been with the company for years. Ken Sunshine, the CEO of Sunshine Sachs, has mentioned Leo by name in interviews and articles, proving his close ties with the company. Reportedly, Leo doesn't interact with anyone who hasn't signed an NDA. Maybe this is just an attempt to keep some of his limited privacy, being one of the most recognizable faces on Earth, but this move raises a red flag. Number 4. Leo's self-titled foundation. The Leonardo DiCaprio Foundation, or the LDF, is so attached to Leo's personal brand that it doesn't even have its own website. The LDF seems to be directed towards creating a better world for all of its inhabitants by targeting conservation of species, oceans, wildlands, and tackling climate change. All of this seems great, but in 2016, the foundation was target of a complaint from the US Department of Justice. It seems one of the donations made to the LDF directly linked to one of the largest embezzlement cases the planet has ever seen, $3 billion large. And if that's not enough to set off alarm bells, then there's the matter of the foundation being classified as a donor-advised fund, meaning that it doesn't have to file public disclosures of its revenue, expenditures, or disbursements. So we have no idea if any of the money they receive goes to any of the causes that the LDF claims to support. Their charitable galas are held in Saint-Tropez. They're reported to be filled with all kinds of debauchery at the low price of just under $12,000 a ticket. Number 3. Leonardo DiCaprio's environmentalism stops as soon as it's time to travel. Leo's holidays are always lavish. He owns an island off of the coast of Belize, and his vacations are frequently to new destinations. But I have to say, partying on a 350-foot mega yacht in St. Barnes that burns an estimated 300 gallons of diesel an hour likely does more damage to the environment than you or I will ever in our entire lifetime. In the same breath, Leo constantly calls out attention to the dangers of climate change and urges people at home to take it seriously. Clearly, he doesn't think it's serious enough for him to adjust his lifestyle. Number 2. Leo's close friends with a sketchy past. Leo's closest pals have been friends with him for almost 30 years. The likes of Tobey Maguire, Lucas Haas, and Kevin Connolly have all been spotted with him consistently. The gang of guys gained a moniker too salacious to be repeated here for being a randy group of guys only after one thing. They would go out on the town in search of women and a good time, not caring if anyone else was in the way. Beyond party boys in their natural habitat, there's a laundry list of illegal poker rings, lawsuits, and bad behavior attached to this group. All red flags here. And our number 1 red flag, Leo's been rubbing shoulders with political figures. Over the years, Leo's been invited to thousands of events and meetings with prominent figures. The ones that stick out the most as the most red flag behavior are his cozying up to political leaders and religious figures alike. Has been spotted visiting Pope Francis, and concerningly, he's met one-on-one with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Leo has stated that all of these visits were related to his foundation and on climate change, but his tactics of getting close to major world leaders to get his way are unsettling at best.
Coming in at number 10 today, we have the mattress photo controversy. So Gucci is currently receiving backlash on social media from social media users for an ad campaign that was posted on December 19th starring Harry Styles. Since last week, the brand has continued to post photos of Styles on Instagram while they were promoting Gucci's Ha 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 campaign. In the ads,
Harry could be seen posing with what appears to be a smaller sized mattress as he is dressed in a teddy bear, graphic tee, and trousers. While the campaign was first introduced back in November, Gucci is now facing criticism for the set props. With the props being a children's mattress, many people have been addressing their concerns, with one person saying, "Why is a toddler bed in this? Why the teddy bear t-shirt? What is the angle aside from Strange Things?" And a lot of people have been pointing out that the similarities that Gucci's campaign had are pretty similar to Balenciaga's campaign. That was embroiled just weeks before online after the campaign involved children holding French labeled teddy bears wearing some adult gear. With Balenciaga and Gucci being owned by the same company, the controversy wasn't really a shock to many. However, now it just proves that something concerning is going on with parent company Kering, as they keep bringing children into their campaigns under concerning circumstances. Though Gucci hasn't really spoken out about the ads yet, the campaign came to light under the director of Alessandro Michele, who since left the company after becoming the creative director back in 2015. Coming at number 9, the Vogue cover. So back in November 2020, Harry Styles would make history as he became the first non-female to have a solo cover in Vogue magazine in the 128 years it's been in print. For his cover shoot, Harry would end up being photographed by Tyler Mitchell. In the photos taken, it could be seen that Harry was wearing a variety of different dresses and brightly colored blouses. While many people praised Harry for breaking down gender norms, there was also a lot of people who criticized him for wearing such feminine pieces, including many conservatives like Candace Owens, who called his Vogue cover an outright attack on the manly men. While his fans and other celebrities came to his defense, like Jamila Jamil, she would even come out in a tweet to say Harry Styles is plenty manly because manly is whatever you want it to be, not what some insecure toxic woman hating D-heads decided it was 100 years ago. He's 104% perfect. Harry also spoke out about the backlash, telling Variety to not wear something because it's feminine clothing. You should shut out a whole world of great clothes, and I think what's exciting about right now is I can wear whatever I want to. It doesn't have to be X or Y. Those lines are becoming more blurred. However, even actor Billy Porter would criticize the cover by saying he felt disconnected from the opportunities for being a gay black man. Coming at number 8 today, we have the Harry House merchandise symbol. Since the release of his third studio album, Harry House, in May of 2022, fans have been eagerly waiting for Harry Styles to drop new merchandise. In August, when the new merchandise was finally announced, it would come with some serious backlash as fans would claim the two capital H's had some anti-Semitic roots, and the signs have been banned in various European countries. With Harry's symbol referencing a certain German symbol, as he would have his logos printed on hats, and he was selling them on tour. When Harry launched his second leg of his Love on tour, he would also release an array of new Harry House merch. And it was so popular, fans were even encouraged to visit the tour venues early to get their hands on it. However, when fans started to point out the Semitic symbol, Harry's team appeared to have responded to the backlash by replacing the hat with an amended version of it, with one fan tweeting, "I get it's supposed to stand for Harry House, but if I see someone walking around with HH on them, I'm gonna assume that it's not Harry Styles fans. I'm gonna assume that the HH means the same thing as 88. And another person even added, "Please take it out of the merch line because it's very triggering and hurtful, not towards Germans, but also especially towards Jewish people." Along with the hats, Harry also had a logo printed on his shirt and hoodies that were uploaded to his website, where you could purchase them before his team decided to change the logo. And number 7, song plagiarism accusations. Throughout the history of music, from time to time, thousands of cases of plagiarism allegations have been reported. With new controversies arising around copyrights in different parts of the world, I don't think any of us were really shocked when fans in Argentina started targeting Harry Styles for plagiarizing his new single, As It Was. When the British artist shared on his social media a small preview of the song for a few seconds on December 13th detailing the song that will be available on April 1st, instantly Twitter started to claim that the preview of the song was identical to a song by an Argentina group, Miranda, called El Profe. A few hours later, the Latin American band would become a huge trend trend on Twitter, and when more tweets started to appear, they seemed to demand justice for the alleged creator for stealing a project from another music group. With his debut album, he also has been accused of using an identical guitar riff as the 1968 Beatles song Blackbird. But Harry tends to stay away from the attention. We definitely won't see him speak on this matter anytime soon unless it magically becomes a topic that truly matters to the star. Coming in number 6 today, we have ignored BLM sign. So back in 2017, after the release of his first solo album, Harry would embark on tour and he would start playing at a number of different shows. While he was acknowledging the LGBTQ flags and spoke out in support of women, fans would become slightly outraged when he chose to ignore the Black Lives Matter flags in the crowd. In a blog post written by Infinity, writer Victoria Monar would question why Styles had chosen to remain silent when it came to the Black Lives Matter issue and why he still hasn't used his massive platform to raise awareness for the issue. During a concert in London, audience members had been given signs that read Black Lives Matter, and one fan even ended up throwing their sign on the stage. Although Harry didn't pick up the sign or look at it, chose to completely ignore the flags and the signs, and he even proceeded to step on them on the stage. During an interview with New York Times, Style had even been asked if any outside chaos had influenced his solo album, referring to the issues of the Brexit, Black Lives Matter, and the American election at the time. Style would then go on to say, with a really vague answer, Sign of the Times had been looking at several different things. When he was asked what those kind of things were, he then told the interviewer everything you were talking about. At number 5, we have the Roy Moore joke. While guest hosting on the Late Late Show for James Corden back in 2017, Styles made a joke that didn't really go down quite as well with his fans that he thought it would, according to the Daily Mail. During his open monologue, Harry would even decide to make a joke about the Republican Senate Roy Moore, who had just lost to a Democrat, Doug Jones, in Alabama, which is typically a state that tends to be a red state. Harry would then go on to say, if you're anything like me, the only thing that you and your friends are talking about at the moment is the Alabama state race. Many of you would think that I'm unfamiliar with Roy Moore for being a Brit. That is not true. I am very familiar with Roy Moore. I've had to throw him out of a dozen of my concerts. While the audience did have a good laugh at the joke, many fans on Twitter didn't share the same thought, with one user saying, "You think because he's Harry Styles he gets a pass, well sis he doesn't. You can keep screaming at the wall, but the rest of us will hold him accountable." Now, Harry has never issued an apology or acknowledging the joke after he received backlash for it, and you probably won't, especially since the controversy surrounding Roy Moore surrounds children. Coming at number 4 today, we have culture appropriation. Back when Harry was still in One Direction, he decided it would be a good idea to post a black and white photo of himself wearing a Native American headdress. With the photo receiving immediate backlash, a One Direction Twitter fan page called He's Problematic would be the first to comment on the photos after Harry uploaded them. The page would then say, Harry appropriated the Native American culture by posing in a native headdress and putting up a picture of himself in it on social media. People called him out for culture appropriation, but again, he never apologized for it. Now, it wasn't the first time that Harry has made some headlines about culture appropriation, as the page also called him out on retweeting pictures of himself in a digitalized blackface with other edits that mocked Black culture. And just like the issue with the headdress, he never issued an apology, even though people called him out for it. I think it would be a great time to note that cultural appropriation is not nice regardless of the context or intent. So before you get braids or wear a headdress, maybe think about why these things are so sacred and why they hurt certain cultures, and admire them from afar and just leave it at that. After Harry's photos received a horrendous amount of backlash, he would take photos down and would proceed to stay quiet on the issue, as he has never issued an apology for his actions. And number 3, the Super Bowl announcement. So in 2020, Harry would announce that he would be performing at the Super Bowl event in Florida. According to the Metro, the announcement was immediately met with backlash. While many of Harry's fans urged the singer to pull out of the performance due to the NFL's racist past, especially with how they treated some former players, he ultimately decided to go ahead and perform at the NFL Pepsi Super Bowl party, with both the NFL and Pepsi being known for being racist. Harry's decision to perform at the event contradicts his claims to support Black Lives Matter, with his black fans requesting him to back out of the trend by creating a hashtag #HarryBackOut on Twitter. They would find themselves being ignored on social media. With the hashtag trending on social media, many of Harry's fans would urge Harry to cancel his performance. While many people understood it might be hard for him not to perform due to his contractual agreement, they would encourage Harry to donate any money he made at the event to a Black Lives Matter organization, with one fan writing, "POC, fans have the right to feel valued and respected. And if they aren't, I understand that Harry can't back out. Because of a contract, but he can speak up more and he can donate to BLM or other causes." And while his fans made some amazing suggestions, Harry did not donate the money that he made at the event to any cause. Coming at number 2 today, we have Olivia Wilde. With 2022 being a big year for Harry Styles as he's been touring, the singer also got his break in acting as he had the chance to star in Don't Worry Darling and My Policeman. With both films releasing soon, none of us really know what to expect from the star, which makes the anticipation really high for these films. During an interview with Rolling Stone, Harry would extensively discuss his relationship with Olivia Wilde, which began after they met on the set of Don't Worry Darling. While Harry's fans tend to be really supportive of his new relationships, his relationship with Olivia is one his fans just can't get over, as they keep urging the star to leave her. With Olivia cheating on Jason Sudeikis to get with Harry Styles, there would soon be a lot of toxic negativity that started to surround Harry's relationship with Olivia. With having a 10-year age gap, fans would even start to make jokes and troll Olivia. Although she was a good sport when it came to the criticism, we all kept saying that there was something really off about her nice and friendly nature. And then the cast members of Don't Worry Darling started to speak up about how horrible she was to them on the set. And anyone who dates someone that horrible is known to be just as bad. And coming in at number 1 today, we have My Policeman. Harry Styles has been slammed by fans after making a comment that the film's deception of gay intimate scenes are usually 2 guys going at it. When the singer spoke to Rolling Stone about his new film, My Policeman, in which he plays a homosexual police officer hiding his sexuality in the 1950s, he would ignite some serious backlash when he spoke of his desire to express tenderness in the film's love scenes. Harry, who also detailed his refusal to confirm to a sexuality label to discuss his journey to figuring out his sexuality, said that the intimate scenes between the 2 men in the films is just them going at it, and it removes all the tenderness of love from it. Harry would then go on to know, "I would imagine that some people who watch it, who are very much alive during the time when it was illegal to be gay, and wanted to show that it is tender, loving, and sensitive." With one fan coming up to say, if he doesn't want to label himself, "I don't care, but he shouldn't be giving his opinion about a community that he doesn't even want to claim."
Number 10, the open relationship. After reports swirled that Brad Pitt was dating German model Nicole Putarowski, who looks a little bit like a younger version of Angelina, the world was set into a tailspin. But fans were a little bit confused when they found out that the model was already married to a much older man named Roland Mary, a German restaurateur who's 41 years her senior. Not only that, but Pitt allegedly met her through her husband. A source told the Daily Mail that Brad had been coming to Roland's restaurant for years, and he was then introduced to his wife Nicole, and she passed him her number. The 2 of them were eventually spotted in the south of France at Chateau Miraval, the estate he shared with Angelina. To make matters worse, the trip allegedly occurred near what would have been his and Jolie's wedding anniversary. But however scandalous the relationship was, it was always a little ambiguous as to whether there was any cheating involved, especially considering that Nicole is quite philosophical about the whole open marriage deal, and her husband seemed alright with the arrangement. So was the whole thing a little bit strange? Yes, but not necessarily wrong. Number 9, the foundation scandal. After Hurricane Katrina, Brad Pitt's Make It Right Foundation built 109 eye-catching and affordable homes in New Orleans for a community where people were displaced by the damage since 2005. But according to Pop Science, the vast majority of the homes are riddled with construction-related problems that have have led to mold, termites, rotting wood, flooding, and although some of the structures are not yet a decade old, out of all the homes built, only 6 reportedly remain in reasonably good shape to this day. Most either have had partial repairs or have been completely renovated because of structural problems, with at least 6 houses totally boarded up and abandoned. As a result, in 2018, Brad and his foundation were hit with a class action lawsuit alleging that the homes they built were structurally unsound, with faulty foundations, electrical issues, and some with incorrectly installed gas meters, putting their homes at risk of gas leaks and explosions. The actor took credit for launching Make It Right in 2007, serving as its public face for years, but when his lawyers argued that he could not be sued over the developmental failings, a judge ruled that the movie star would remain a defendant because of his role as the organization's founder and chief fundraiser. Number 8. Dissing Jennifer Aniston. Jen told Vanity Fair in 2005 that while she doubted her ex-husband was deliberately malicious, she explained that when it comes to Brad, there's a sensitivity chip that's missing. That might just be true when you look at his Parade magazine interview in 2011. The actor gave a rather unflattering description of his life and marriage with Jen. Brad felt that he wasn't living an interesting life, and in the 5 years that he was with the Friends star, he was trying to pretend the marriage was something it wasn't. Quote, "I started getting sick of myself sitting on the couch holding a joint hiding out. It started feeling pathetic. It became very clear to me that I was intent on trying to find a movie about an interesting life, but I wasn't living an interesting life myself. I think that my marriage had something to do with it." To make matters worse, when asked about life with Angelina in comparison, he admitted that he was finally a satisfied man. After receiving backlash for the interview that was basically insinuating that Jen was boring, Brad had to do some major damage control and went on to clarify his comments. Quote, "It grieves me that this was interpreted this way. The point I was trying to make is not that Jen was dull, but that I was becoming dull to myself and that I am responsible for." So at least he was able to clear that up because it probably hurt Jen quite a lot. Number 7. The judge issue. Like many celebrity couples, Pitt and Jolie opted to hire their own judge to increase their privacy in the divorce proceedings. But that became yet another point of contention for the former couple when Angelina fought for their judge to be disqualified from the case. She scored a major victory point in the divorce when the California Appeals Court agreed with her that Judge John W. Outerkirk didn't sufficiently disclose prior business relationships with Brad's attorneys, and considered that a conflict of interest. Angelina was actually able to prove that the private judge that Brad had advocated for failed to disclose the cases that revealed a close relationship between the judge and her ex-husband's legal team. On their part, they were quick to deny any impropriety and pointed out that Judge Outerkirk actually officiated the couple's wedding, but the District Court of Appeal felt that it was an ethical breach and doubted the judge's ability to be impartial. So it was a bit of a shady move on the part of Brad's lawyers, but it might have just been all for nothing, as in 2020, Brad was granted joint custody of his children with a tentative ruling, much to Angelina's frustration. Number 6. Avoiding child support. In August of 2018, Angelina accused Brad of not paying any meaningful child support for their 6 children after the divorce. The actor countered that he had actually loaned her $8 million to buy a home, plus $1.3 million for bills. Angelina's attorneys slammed Brad in a statement to Us Weekly, citing the incident of September 2016 as the reason that Angelina and the children needed to move from the family home. Her rep further insinuated that he was charging her interest on a payment plan, and that she will of course honor that loan. Quote, "A loan is not, however, child support, and to represent it as such is misleading and inaccurate." The rep added that Angelina was requesting that Brad pay 50% of the kids' expenses, because she has had to shoulder the majority of those without his contribution for the past 2 years. Quote, "Child support is not optional in California. Typically, a father of means would pay these expenses voluntarily without the need for a request or a court order." The former couple's constant back and forth fighting over finances still hasn't ended. In fact, Brad is reportedly suing his ex-wife for allegedly secretly selling their $116 million winery without his knowledge. Number 5. Whitewashing. We certainly can't talk about red flags without bringing up the controversy controversy surrounding Bullet Train. Brad has recently come under fire for allegedly whitewashing Japanese culture in his new blockbuster movie, which is an accusation that has his fans divided. The action-packed movie takes place in Japan on a high-speed train heading from Tokyo to Kyoto, which sounds great except for the fact that the majority of the cast involved are from Western countries and are not ethnically Japanese, leading many to accuse the filmmakers of insensitive casting choices. As Brad is the film's main lead, a lot of the criticism naturally falls on his shoulders, not to mention the fact that his character was originally written as Japanese in the source material. Not only are the majority of the film's main cast white, but the passengers of the Bullet Train are largely white as well, while the few background actors that do appear to be Japanese have no prominence in the story or speaking lines. The movie is based on a novel by the same name, written by author Katara Izaka, who has stood by the casting choices, but people are still upset regardless, because similar instances of whitewashing have occurred in recent movies, like Doctor Strange or Ghost in the Shell, so audiences are becoming increasingly frustrated with miscasting. Number 4. The lighting lawsuit. Odile Soudan was once considered a friend of Brad and Angelina before they ran into some major issues. In fact, the famous French designer ended up suing the couple in 2017 over massive unpaid bills for the lighting in their Chateau Miraval home. Soudan claimed that the former couple simply stopped paying for her work that she did on 4 buildings of their 40-room mansion in France. While she did not have a written contract with the former couple per se, she claims that Brad gave her the green light to do whatever she wanted to make their home beautiful. Soudan took him at his word and racked up a $29 million bill in the process. She hired architects, designers, lighting and acoustic specialists, and even went to an optical engineer to calculate the angle of the sun's rays on the chateau. But she soon noticed that the former couple stopped paying for her project after her billings reached around $6 million. Before the lawyers got involved, Brad emailed her insisting that he was a fan of her work and that she should not legally attack them because they could figure it out amongst themselves. But it was no use, as in 2017 they were ordered to pay her roughly $674,000, including extra for damaging her reputation. Number 4. Dating Juliette Lewis. When they met on the set of Too Young to Die, Brad Pitt and Juliette Lewis were infatuated with each other and went on to date for 3 years. The film was quite a big break for both actors, who were still climbing the Hollywood ladder at the time, but it was clearly a great romance, as years later Brad would go on to label the relationship as one of the greatest. So why was it a red flag? Well, he was 27 at the time and she was only 17. But it was the 90s, right? Well, no, actually, it was always a little bit creepy, considering the fact that Juliette was still in high school at the time. When speaking about the whirlwind romance, she told Daily Mail in 2010, quote, "I was a teenager at the time. It was a lifetime away. I was in my high school years and it was a wonderful, loving relationship with a fun, smart guy. Then it was over and he went on to become incredibly famous." The duo certainly seemed in love, as they were constantly hitting up red carpet events together, like the premiere for Thelma and Louise or The Last of the Mohicans. But the relationship was still a questionable one and falls into a morally grey area because of Juliette's age at the time. Number 2. Working with Weinstein. In a recent interview, Angelina Jolie opened up to The Guardian about her experience with the disgraced movie mogul Harvey Weinstein, speaking about his unwanted advances. Quote, "It was something I had to escape. I stayed away and warned people about him. I was asked to do The Aviator, but I said no because he was involved. I never associated or worked with him again. It was hard for me when Brad did." She went on to admit that it was very difficult for her when Brad continued to work with him, despite the fact that he tried to take advantage of her when she was 21. The couple fought over Brad's decision to take on Inglourious Basterds in 2009, which was distributed and co-financed by the Weinstein Company, and again in 2012 when he approached Weinstein to produce his film Killing Them Softly. Angelina makes it clear that Brad was well aware of what happened to her and went against her wishes anyway, which caused a great deal of pain. The actor made headlines for an interview with CNN, condemning Weinstein, and spoke about a time that he confronted him for preying on his then girlfriend Gwyneth Paltrow. So it's safe to assume he always knew about the Hollywood predator and was still happy to keep working with him. Number 1. Accusations of domestic violence. Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt's separation has been anything but a smooth process since it began, back in 2016. Their divorce seems to become messy and messier as years go by, especially after a disturbing allegation by Angelina last year, who filed court documents against her ex-husband that claimed that she was a victim of domestic violence. In fact, the court documents state that the actress and her children are willing to offer proof and authority in support of these allegations. She also agreed to provide testimony, along with the testimony of minor children. So where did this serious accusation come from? Well, in 2016, news broke that an altercation on a flight from Nice, France to Los Angeles had ultimately sparked the reason for the couple's divorce, as Brad was drinking heavily on the flight and allegedly physically hurt their oldest son, Maddox. He was subsequently investigated by the Los Angeles Department of Children and Family Services and cleared. Brad reportedly told the FBI that he had shouted at his son, but insisted that he did not attempt to physically harm him, his wife, or any of their other children. The actor has since also admitted that he was facing difficulties with alcohol at the time, and attended Alcoholics Anonymous following the divorce. So it's possible that the incident was just a family argument that happened to escalate. Number 10. Birthday photos. The Euphoria actress recently received a wild amount of backlash from posting photos and videos of her and her family shared at a hoedown themed party for her mum's 60th birthday, but fans were quick to point out a photo of an unidentified guest wearing a Blue Lives Matter shirt and a photo that Sydney's brother posted where he was posing with two guests that were both wearing MAGA themed hats, with the tagline reading, "Make 60 great again." So yes, it was pretty bad. Internet backlash swiftly followed and left fans to question the actress and her family's political leanings, but many thought it was strange considering that Sydney was acting a little naive about the photos and seemed to be unsure why they caused so much controversy in the first place. If you zoom into the problematic shirt, you can see the symbol of a thin blue line running through an American flag, which clearly invites the viewer to make very specific assumptions about the person wearing it. The man in the photo has not been identified by Sydney or reporters, but it's reasonable to assume it's a friend or family member of her mother, and although it's clear that the image is not meant to be a declaration of Sydney's politics, everyone knows what kind of reaction that post might elicit on social media. Number 9. The response. When the outrage against her grew, the 24-year-old actress took to Twitter to defend herself and her family from the allegations. She wrote, "You guys, this is wild. An innocent celebration for my mom's milestone 60th birthday has turned into an absurd political statement, which was not the intention. Please stop making assumptions. Much love to everyone and happy birthday, mom." But fans decided that the response was not nearly enough. In fact, it was a way to avoid talking about the issue and shift the blame onto the fans, who naturally had a strong reaction to seeing symbols of hate. The thing is that if Sydney doesn't support these views and did in fact post the photo carelessly without thinking too much of it, she should have also tried to distance herself from them, whether through her statements or by taking down the image altogether. But obviously she chose not to do that and instead decided to frame it as harmless birthday fun and something that had nothing to do with politics. But Sydney should really understand that Twitter doesn't care about things like nuance or context, so it was almost like she was using her huge platform as a popular actress to normalize what has been considered a dangerous political movement. Number 8. Claiming to be broke. At 24 years old, the Euphoria actress scored her first 2 Emmy nominations for roles in not one, but 2 acclaimed HBO series. She also started her own production company, 50/50 Films, and in the past year worked as an ambassador for many high fashion brands. But Sydney recently revealed in a Hollywood Reporter interview that she still feels the financial pressure of paying her monthly bills, admitting that she was worried if she took a break from work, there would be no money and no support for any potential children that she would have. Quote, "If I wanted to take a 6-month break, I don't have income to cover that. I don't have someone supporting me. I don't have anyone I can turn to pay my bills or call for help." Although she's doing incredibly well for her age and her net worth is reportedly around $5 million, she claimed that they don't pay actors like they used to and explained why she's experiencing financial strain. Among other reasons, Sydney says that streaming sites don't provide residuals and claimed that paying her publicist every month costs more than her mortgage, admitting that "If I just acted, I wouldn't be able to afford my life in LA. I take deals because I have to." So it seems that even working actors can wind up broke somehow. Number 7. $1 million mansion. It wasn't long before the Euphoria star started receiving an intense amount of backlash for her comments on money, after fans discovered that she recently bought a $3 million property in Los Angeles. After the article was published, which many people labeled as tone deaf and straight up ungrateful, fans pointed out that Sydney has recently dropped $3 million on a 5-bedroom, 4-bathroom property in the Westwood neighborhood of LA. So the fact that she was complaining about her mortgage actually seemed to fall in the category of rich people problems rather than anything else. I mean, her mansion is crazy big. It's a Tudor-style home that was built in 1933 and is situated on the top of a hill with golf course views. It's 3,200 square feet with a fireplace, a large backyard, and beautiful wood beams. So she's not exactly roughing it. And as for Twitter, no one was having it. One person wrote, "Surely the mortgage on her $3 million LA mansion is a great monthly expense, but hopefully the golf course view from the front porch eases the pain." I feel so bad for her. Number 6. Questionable family. After the actress faced backlash for photos of her mother Lisa's 60th birthday hoedown, internet sleuths decided to look into her family and see whether or not Sydney was also a conservative herself. Because after all, in the pictures posted by her brother Trent, there was a photo that showcased family members sporting red caps, which were perceived to be Make America Great Again merchandise. So amid all the outrage, some netizens pointed out the possibility of her family being right-wing supporters, and how it was a given that the actress grew up in Idaho, a right-leaning state. Sydney was born to Scott and Lisa Sweeney in Spokane, Washington. However, later her family moved to northwestern Idaho. She also confirmed this with Elle magazine and told the publication that her family moved to LA around 2010 to support her passion for acting. Over the years, various renowned publications like The Guardian and HuffPost have labeled Idaho as one of the most conservative states in the United States. Not only that, but the state has always historically favored the Republican Party, which has been in power in the state for years. Sydney also confirmed that yes, her family is religious when she told Dread Central in 2018 that "I come from a religious family, but I'm open to all religions." Number 5. MAGA supporters. As a consequence of the birthday photo controversy, Sydney has seen an uptick in support from the right, and it hasn't exactly helped her case. Conservative commentator Tommy Lauren tweeted that Sydney should never bow or apologize to the mob. She followed that up with, "OMG, Sydney Sweeney had the audacity to have a birthday party for her mom and her family, and they had the audacity to appear like they might be conservatives or support law enforcement. Oh, the horror. GTFO vultures." Well, you know you did something wrong when Tommy Lauren starts supporting you. Not only that, but conservative media personality John Ziegler also weighed in on the controversy and said, "In case you're wondering what caused this insane Twitter reaction, is that it is apparently possible that some of her family members are Trump supporters." Multiple conservative news outlets like Citizen Free Press, Newsmax, and Rebel News have also expressed support for Sydney. But with all the online discord, some have pointed out that it's entirely possible that the actress has conservative, Trump-supporting family members while not being a conservative herself. And if that's the case, should she be expected to literally disown her parents? Number 4. Defending Sam Levinson. Euphoria has long been labeled as one of the most controversial teen shows ever, second only to Skins. It's no secret that the Euphoria fandom hates the series creator Sam Levinson with a passion. Despite their love for the characters and actors, fans have long taken issue with the gratuitous nudity on the show, as well as the alleged mistreatment of several cast members. But Sydney Sweeney's character Cassie has a lot of nude scenes in the show herself. In fact, quite a bit of controversy erupted when she spoke to The Independent and said that there are moments when Cassie was supposed to be shirtless, and I would tell Sam, "I don't really think that's necessary here." And he was like, "Okay, we don't need it." She went on to say that the experience of filming these scenes was unlike her previous bad experiences, since Sam was open to her opinion and made her feel safe. While it's obviously a good thing that Sydney felt as comfortable as possible while doing the nude scenes, people were quick to pick up on the fact that she admitted that there was simply too much of it. Not only that, but the criticism of the show's excessive nudity is for a valid reason. The world of Euphoria depicts teenagers, so putting them in those scenes without a real purpose behind it is extremely questionable to say the least. Number 3. Barbie Ferreira drama. Fans were pretty shocked when it emerged that Euphoria star Barbie Ferreira quit the series in a shocking surprise exit ahead of season 3. The actress who played Kat Hernandez on the HBO drama has left amid rumors of nasty feuds on set, which allegedly resulted in her scenes getting cut from the series. After season 2 premiered in early 2022, it was clear that her character Kat had few to no lines at all, and subsequently reports of a feud between Barbie and Sam Levinson emerged. In fact, the Daily Beast published an explosive report alleging that Barbie stormed off set at least 2 times after butting heads with the director, and also ended up skipping the season 2 red carpet premiere. Fans of the show flooded Twitter, one writing, "Her and Sam Levinson were going to war all second season and he demoted the heck out of her. She was such a good character." But with all the outpouring of support online, we couldn't help notice Sydney, along with all her fellow cast members, chose not to publicly stand stand up for Ferreira at all. In fact, they seem to be completely silent about the whole thing and have only chosen to sing Sam's praises. Number 2, controversial kiss. If you happen to find yourself binging the Netflix show Everything Sucks in your spare time, it's probably for a good reason. With its nostalgic 90s soundtrack and endearing character dynamics. What's more, the showrunners decided to cast actual teenagers to play teenagers, which is great, except for the fact that Sydney Sweeney was a lot older than her co-stars. This only became an issue when one of the storylines involved her making out with her 14-year-old co-star Peyton Kennedy. And yes, everyone was very creeped out. Sydney played Emmeline Addario and Peyton played Kate Messner, two female characters whose story arc sees them eventually get together in a queer relationship. Although they both passed as high schoolers, the 6-year age difference between the actresses alarmed a lot of people, with some calling Sydney's character outright disgusting and predatory. But to be fair, there's no way the more intimate scenes would have happened without Peyton's consent, and even her parents' consent considering her age. But would that scene have been allowed if it was between a 20-year-old guy kissing an underage girl? Probably not. And coming in at number 1, DJ Bella Ferrata. While the backlash against Sydney's party photos intensified, LA-based DJ and influencer Bella Ferrata came through with her own separate allegations against the actress. In the comment section of Sydney's Instagram post, where she was trying to defend herself, DJ Ferrata wrote, "Girl, bye. This explains why you got so scared when my Mexican boyfriend was trying to fix lighting by you at the HCA Awards and you freaked out and had your boyfriend come and shoo him away while he was just doing his job and had no idea who you even are. Why were you so scared? It's giving Karen." So she was basically insinuating that Sydney exhibited racist behavior by appearing to be afraid of her boyfriend. She went on to diss the birthday party photos and wrote, "All I see are red hats and red flags," and claimed that she got blocked by Sydney's brother Trent Sweeney due to her comments. Ferrata ended the post with a final comment, quote, "May I just say one more thing and then I'm done with the subject. If you got Tommy Lauren's racist ass backing you, that is a huge red flag and you should be very embarrassed."